We are a week away from the Vancouver Fringe Festival. Woo! I'm excited and terrified at the same time. But the cool thing is I have all my staff back. A couple of people were away for August, and I was both marketing and operations manager, and I did not do that great a job. So I'm really happy that they're back in the house. Also delightful humans. Hi, Matt. Hi, Martin. Happy to have you back. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples, and it is an honor to live, work, and now do a podcast on these territories, and also very, very soon do a festival on these territories, which we are extremely excited about. We are here again in Leap Creative Studios with the wonderful Burkeville Productions, who are making this all happen. What's very cool this year at the Fringe, apart from just how cool the Fringe is that Leap Creative Studios has come on as a partner. We are going to do 11 live streaming performances from September 8th to September 18th. It's all at vancouverfringe.com. You can take a look at it. We're exceedingly just so pumped about this. As you can see, I am unable to contain my hands today. And the other thing that's happening is we're going to do a podcast every day during the Fringe. So from September 8th to 18th, we'll be doing a podcast at noon. And it's going to be all the different Fringe artists just talking about what their work is, art, on the road, etc., etc., etc. We have been enormously fortunate this year to be able to return to in-person Fringe. We have 72 performances at this point, 4 site-specific, and then 68 within the different theaters, and I'm going to name them all just because I'm here trying to pump up what's going on. So the Waterfront, the Nest, Performance Works, Arts Umbrella, Improv Center, the Review Stage, also Carousel Theater, all on Granville Island. We are so happy to be back, and we're so happy to partner with all these amazing people. Also, we're going to do it at Studio 16 or Théâtre 16e. Do not talk about my French accent. I do not have a very good one, but it's in La Maison Francophone. I'm trying. I'm really trying. Please, no comments about my accent. And also here at Leap Creative Studios, where we're going to be doing all the podcasts and doing all the shows. It's been a really, really interesting and quick adventure for me. You know, I started in January, brought on new people sort of around June. So we're just all really learning on the fly and just really enjoying getting to know the artists and the different partners. I couldn't really be more thrilled. Now, if you want to purchase tickets, which of course you do, you want to go vancouverfringe.com. You have to purchase one time only, a festival membership of $10, and then you can go see any show across the Fringe, array of shows that are happening. Also, there are 5, 10, and 25 ticket packs, which all have a discount to them, or you can become a friend of the Fringe and you get a discount of, I think it's about 18% on all the ticketed shows. So that's very cool as well. We also have a series of workshops. We have been really cool, interested in reaching out to all our cultural partners. So we have this really cool activation space called Lot 55, which actually is what it's called, Lot 55, because we couldn't come up with anything more creative. And it's on Granville Island, and it's an outdoor space, but completely tented. And we are going to do a series of we're going to do yoga in the morning, and then we're going to do a series of panel discussions, and then we're going to do a series of mixers and little happy hours between 4 and 5:30, discussing various aspects of the awards programs at the Fringe, having a sponsorship happy hour. We also have some great special events. We have our Fringe for All, which is happening on September 7th at 6:30 at Performance Works, which is the opener for the Fringe. We have Sequence and Fringe, which is happening on Tuesday, September 13th at 9 o'clock at the Improv Center, who's just come on this year as one of our partners. We also have the Family Reunion, the Cabaret of Bullshit, which is a Fringe fundraiser on September 17th, that's Saturday at 11 p.m. at the Performance Works, and the awards night at 9, which is really basically all of us giving out the awards to the various companies and or humans that have actually won the awards this year. So that's really cool. And we have such a list of awards and partners that have come on to the Fringe this year. There's the Cult with Cultivating the Award. There's PTC, which Playwrights Theatre Center with the Fringe New Play Prize. There's Leap Creative Studios, who is doing, Leaping, something like that, where they are going to offer a great ad package for any of the artists who are doing their live streaming in the studios this year. We have the BC Touring Council's back, and they're going to give a spot to a lucky Fringe artist who is then going to show at Pacific Contact, which is like an industry get-together for presenters looking for work. There's tons of things in which the artists can get involved, and we're so excited that people have come back and supported our artists and the artist development. So that's very cool. But enough about that. Well, not enough about that. There'll never be enough about that. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about the Fringe. But the very cool thing that is happening today is that we get to talk to Kirst Hogan. Kirst Hogan is AKA Burgundy Bricks, who has also been a burlesque dancer. She's a dancer, she's a singer, she's a theater artist, and she's here this year at the Fringe doing the C Word, a very personal story that she has developed over the last couple of years. So without further ado, let's meet Kirst.
So we're on the Coquihalla Highway, which is absolutely beautiful. We're so lucky to live in this beautiful province, but let's hope that our connection holds out for the interview. Woohoo!
Well, fingers crossed and everything else. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Kirst, would you mind just giving a brief summary of your background? You have such an eclectic background, and then we can kind of move into the show that you're doing and what's happening right now for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Yep, I got my degree in theater arts as a minor in dance, moved to Boston area, lived there for 7 years, did theater and taught dance and taught musical theater, then moved to New York in 98, where I did theater and musical theater for 10 years.
Wow, okay.
Then we moved to, including things like national tour of Singing in the Rain, and I sang on Norwegian cruise lines for like 5 different contracts, and Radio City Christmas Spectacular and the out-of-town shows with the Rockettes. But I was not a Rockette. Everybody always gets that wrong because I'm a tall dancer, but I was a singer-dancer in the show. I like to be honest about my resume.
Well, you are all legs. It is true, Kirst. You're all legs.
I know, it's true. There's always that assumption that I was a Rockette, but no. Yes, then we moved, my husband and I moved to Vancouver in December of 2007, and we've been here ever since. We've been permanent residents since 2013, I believe. So, and most of the time in Vancouver, I was actually working in circuit, not doing too much theater.
Right.
So now I'm going back into the theater world after kind of a hiatus, in a way.
Yeah, that's what I knew. Oh, I'm getting told what to do. I knew that you had done theater, but I know you mostly, I can't say that burlesque isn't theater, but that's how I knew you, just because you started to work with Julianne, and I knew from there. Can I ask what made you come up to Vancouver? What was the sort of impetus for that?
Sure. Everyone asks that. They say, "Why did you move to Vancouver from New York?" Well, my husband came out here in 1996 on his own, and he just to go and explore parts of the country and parts of the world that he hadn't seen before. And he fell in love with Vancouver. And then when we got together, he was convincing me that it was just this wonderful land of milk and honey that we should try to move there someday. And I'd always had a fascination with Canada since I was a child. So it sort of all made sense. And then he looked for a job that would hire him so we could come here legally. And on Craigslist, he found one, and we moved here. He's a theater professional as well. He did Stomp and lots of different musical theater things. He's a musician as well. So we're both professional entertainers.
Well, I'm going to ask 2 questions then. Okay, so I know that you and your husband are going to Armstrong because you're going to perform up there, and your duo is called.
We've got 2 duos. One of them is my silly brainchild. It's called KD because my name is Kirst and his name is Doug. And a friend of ours said, why don't you appropriate Canadian culture because I wanted to sing all our favorite Canadian hits, the classic Canadian singer-songwriter hits. And I thought, oh, well, KD, because they call macaroni and cheese Kraft dinner here, and they call it KD, which is not what you call it in the States. It's just called mac and cheese or, Kraft macaroni and cheese. So we just capitalized on the KD thing, and I made a cute outfits with a blue and yellow theme, and we just sing all the Canadian classics, and it's fun. It's family friendly, not for children specifically, which is hilarious. We were up at Sun Peaks Resort singing, and a woman starts out from the audience, "Do you do any kid songs?" And the next song on our song list was "Sundown" by Gordon Lightfoot. Definitely not a kid song. I mean, kids don't really know what the lyrics are about because they're so poetic. But still, we're like, well, and the next one, "Sundown." Okay, anyway, But yeah, so we're doing KD for 5 days at the Armstrong IPE, which is the fair up there, like the PNE, and then we're also doing one show as our other duo, Johnny and June, which is our tribute or homage to Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash and their music.
Fun.
So. Yeah, so we've got all the gear, all the sounds, everything. The car is loaded with instruments and speakers and lights and everything.
Well, you're kind of a do-it-yourselfer anyway. I mean, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
You've always been that way. Can I ask also then, I mean, it's such a great week to go up to Armstrong and have that drive. I know you just said it's so beautiful. Well, how did you get into burlesque then? Did you do it when you're here in Vancouver, or did you do it before when you were in the States?
In New York.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was in New York. Yeah, I was starting to get really just discouraged by the musical theater machine of New York, the Broadway machine. I got so close to so many Broadway shows, but at the end of the day, the person that they ended up hiring was the person who looked the most like the person who was leading that track in the show.
Right.
And because a lot of the agencies started to become bi-coastal, so they were representing, New York actors, but also in LA. So everyone was getting smaller and smaller. Honestly, at a callback for 42nd Street on Broadway, it looked like a bunch of tap dancing skeletons. I was the biggest person in the room. And at that point, and I was at my fighting weight at that point too. I was really slender. And it was really disappointing to me.
You're not a big human being.
I'm not a big bone gal. No, exactly.
No,
and when I'm the biggest person in the room, it's concerning. It was concerning. I know that's changed now because of more body positivity in the arts, but at the time I was getting really discouraged at just the people as I got higher up in the musical theater world, the directors that, the Broadway directors and things that I was working with at regional theaters, which I was excited to work with these, named directors, but they were so, I'm sorry, lazy, and they weren't putting in the work. Yeah. And I was disappointed because I thought, I worked so hard to get to this level and you're phoning it in. So why do I want to be here? So I was just looking for something like what drew me to New York in the first place. When I was in college, I got the Village Voice as a subscription, and that's what fascinated me by moving to New York. I wanted to be part of that weird underground culture. Right. And I found the burlesque world in New York, and it just all sort of made sense to me. It's like I can be a self-produced artist. I have complete control over my work and my art. I can use my costume design skills as well as my performative skills, and I can basically bring anything to the table that I want to. And so it was a really liberating experience for me to find that world.
I can recall.
So that's how I found it.
I started out as an actor here, in Vancouver, and I don't think I actually realized, and it is a weird thing to have to tell other people, though there's some semblance of it in non-artistic, performative things. It's such a strange thing to realize you have no control over anything as somebody you can have control over what you do and what you present and all that stuff, but you don't have control in the sense of input, or you can't control how there's so many other moving body parts in a production and in the industry that I realized, I don't really like that very much. I don't think I'm suited because I need more input. I need to be able to give my whole self in the situation. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's not for everyone. I mean, and that's when I taught kids musical theater, I taught them that your job is to be the tool of the director. I mean, that's what your job is as an actor in the show. Your job is to do what their vision, not your vision specifically. I mean, yes, you do have some control over how you approach your character, or how you present your character, but not, at the end of the day, it's the production team that has the final say.
Yes.
And I'm a very willful person, and I do like to have control over my work. So it's falling into being a self-produced. I mean, that's how burlesque made me a self-produced entertainer, basically.
Right.
It gave me those skills.
Right. And I think that that's a really interesting thing for most people because, the Fringe is that kind of a situation anyway, is that everybody is self-producing, whether it's like one person or 8 people in a group or whatever. And a lot of that comes out of, yes, wanting to express oneself and bring oneself to the table, but also the fact that you get to call the shots, right? I mean, for better, for worse, whatever. I always say that it's like, well, at least if it's my decision and I make that decision, then I can stand up for that decision, or I'll take the other portion of, I'll take the both positive and then, of course, constructive criticism about stuff, because I did it.
Yes.
I did it, versus I know I've been in situations where, like what you were describing, you were asked to be something for a vision that wasn't yours, and it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, right? And it's harder to feel engaged with that conversation because you're not really, you're not the person that actually was a collaborator. You're a person that was hired for a job, right?
Exactly. I know, and that's fine too. I mean, if that's what you want to do, it's absolutely, it's lovely. But I just wanted more out of my career as an artist than I was getting.
Well, I think maybe people should know. I'm just going to say this out loud. Kirsten and I both like to have control over things. Lots of control over things.
Lots of control. I mean, and it goes, and that kind of sense of control does track through to my experiences with my health over the last year and a half as well. Yeah. And having, a little bit of trying to find control in this uncontrollable situation.
Yeah.
Has been, a real journey.
Yeah, and this is really what I wanted. This is really what your show is about. And can we just dive into this? I am so happy that you are feeling well and can do this show. But would you mind just if you talking about what happened to you and then how that spurred on to do the C word?
In May 2021, it was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and I decided that after my first surgery, the plan was one surgery, then 4 or 5 months of chemo. It ended up being 6, and then another surgery, and then possibly more chemo. That was the plan. So after my first surgery, I had been sort of writing down my experiences in the hospital. I mean, I'd never had any major surgeries in my life. I'd never been through any of these things except for on the outside watching my mom go through things. So I started writing things down that I thought were might be amusing to other people, with the intention that maybe this could be a show someday. And then I started turning it into a blog and open it up to just share my experiences with more of my friends and family. And then sort of in the midst of everything, the Fringe lottery came up, and since I had that idea that perhaps this could be a show, I just threw my hat in the ring, even though my story was evolving and I had no idea what was going to happen. Even if I would be well enough to do a show in September, I didn't know, but I figured I'd let the universe decide that. And when I did get a spot in the Fringe, I knew that was the universe saying, yes, this is the time for you to tell that story. So I can go forward without having the regrets of not having done it, which is lovely for me.
Kirsten.
And it just chronicles. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One of them is, do you mind me asking how did you come to the conclusion that something was wrong with you? Were you just feeling awful for a while, or was it just very, very sudden?
Yeah, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and I didn't feel, I had no symptoms other than, just a little bit of extra fatigue and a little bit of sluggish digestive system, which I just thought were part of menopause, which I was also going through. And I think a lot of us women specifically at a certain age, we attribute a lot of little changes in our bodies to menopause, because menopause is another one of those things, the M word, but we don't talk a lot about those changes and what things that are going on in our bodies. But I was just switching to a new family doctor, honestly, and she sent me for standard lab work, and then she sent me for a routine colonoscopy, and that's when they found it. I would never have known if I had not switched to a new doctor at that time.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
And also, I hear you about the menopause thing. Sometimes it just throws you so off track that you have no idea anymore, because your body's changing in a way again, right? And you just think, well, that's just what it is. It must be, because I'm perfectly healthy. I mean, it must feel so lucky that you actually had this new doctor and they were able to sort of follow up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I didn't actually get to meet that doctor face to face until she took my staples out for my second surgery, because everything was on the phone.
Wow.
Because of COVID.
Wow.
So I never actually even met her in person until a year later, over a year later. It's crazy.
That is crazy. And also, I'm so happy to know that you are able to do this as well. And can you, that's such an interesting thing that you turn to art, really, to sort of get yourself, through this really difficult situation and to sort of express yourselves. Because I'm sure it sounds like from that everything runs the gamut, you know what I mean? From horrible to funny to everything in between when you're going through something like this. Can you kind of give a synopsis for everybody about what to expect when they come to see the show?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have always been a person who's tried to find humor in whatever situation that I'm dealing with, because I just feel like that's life. I do feel that laughter is the best medicine if you can really truly find it. And so I was always, I think, really kind of looking for it to help me heal. Even when my mom was sick, I wanted to make her laugh whenever I talked to her on the phone or when I was there in person if she was feeling well enough, because her laugh was just so genuine and real, and I knew it made her feel better.
Yeah.
So finding the comedy for me was really important, but it's a roller coaster of a ride, because I'm talking about some really the worst things that have ever happened to me in my life in the show, and then turning around and and making a joke out of some of the situations that are just so absurd.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have a connection. A lot of times you've seen somebody else go through cancer, but you don't know what it feels like inside. Or, you're aware of it and you're frightened of it because it's a scary topic. So I'm hoping with my show, I have all sorts of crazy parody song numbers, little short parody songs that I've written about the different situations that I've dealt with, and some fun dancing and props. And I use like that aspect of burlesque and variety throughout the show to illustrate different aspects of my journey. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a talking head show. It's it's very active. It's a very active show. I'm actually I'm kind of glad it's just an hour, because it's a lot of energy that I'm putting out from top to tail in the show. It feels great, though. It does feel great. And I did a little invited dress rehearsal at my friend Jen Bishop's dance studio last Friday night, just to get it in front of some humans, which it was great. And they all said, that show has everything. I'm like, good. That's kind of what I wanted. Everything but the kitchen sink.
Well, how about everything and the kitchen sink?
And the kitchen sink, which I puked in during chemo often. And my husband was so kind. He always kept one, because we've got a double kitchen sink, and he always kept one side clear so I could puke with dignity rather than having to hang my head over the toilet. And that's what he said. He's like, I want you to puke with dignity, and I really appreciated that.
Well, love takes different forms, Kirs. That's his love language. You can have the sink. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's such an interesting thing too, is that, it's such a lot of energy to expend, and I'm sure you find something new every time you do it. How do you sort of, as you say, gear up for every performance, or how do you imagine that's going to happen for you? Because it's not a small thing you're asking of yourself.
I know. And honestly, the rehearsing of it has been a lot harder than I thought, not from the physical aspects of it, but just from reliving some of the hell over and over and over, but I think in reliving it over and over and over, it's becoming a lot easier for me to cope with. And I know it's hard for my husband is my stage manager, and he's running my cues, and it's hard for him to listen to it over and over again too, because he went through everything, alongside me. So for me, I have so much energy right now. I mean, thanks to, all my caregivers and my naturopath and all the things that I'm doing for my own health to support myself. So I'm luckily in a place where I have a lot of energy, and fingers crossed, everything that we've done actually looks like it's been successful. So I'm hoping that I'm on the other side of the darkness. But I just found out recently that you can't say that you're cancer free until you've been 5 years without symptoms. 5 years without any symptoms or tests showing anything. So that'll put me at 58. So I'll have a big party then when I'm 58.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's the weirdest thing, isn't it? I know I have friends. I mean, nobody can compare one's experience to the other experience, but I know that I had a friend who had breast cancer in her mid-40s, and she is celebrating 15 years now. And I guess about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's totally, I mean, since it's finished. So since all her chemo, she was kind of like you. She had like 8 months of chemo and the whole bit, so so those are all good stories. You know what I mean? It is entirely possible. And, it's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's not the death sentence that it used to be because of, advances, the constant advances, and the care I've received in the BC cancer system has been phenomenal. It's been really quite amazing, and I'm so grateful. So it's if you look at the charts of the the death rate from cancer, like even 5-10 years ago compared to what it is now, it's dropped exponentially. The survival rate has increased exponentially, and the death rate's dropped exponentially. So, we're in a much better place than we were, a decade ago. So I'm grateful for that as well. And I think that as time goes on, it's going to become more and more easy to deal with. Although it seems like there's more and more cases too. So we have to look at the environment and what are we doing to this planet, because I think a lot of it does relate to that, but I won't get into that because that's another story. That's next year's Fringe Fest. I'm just kidding.
A whole other podcast, I think. That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other thing. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Your show's going to be at Performance Works. If you go to VancouverFringe.com, you can see, if you Google in the C word or in the search engine, the C word, or if you just look at Performance Works, all of Kirst's shows are there. They're on sale now, so please do go and get your tickets. And I also wanted to say, which is also very exciting, that Kirst is going to do two things at the Fringe beyond that. One of them is that she's going to host our opening night, Fringe for All. Yay!
Yay! I have the perfect dress.
You know what I was thinking?
It's got Fringe for All.
I know. I need to get a
Fringe
perfect
for
dress.
all.
So that's great.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
I totally do.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll work on that indeed. So that is September 7th, and Kirst is going to, what happens at Fringe for All, apart from just like opening night, is like, and going, yay, we're finally done it, is that 30 fresh-faced fringers are going to get up and do 2 minutes of sort of like trailers of their shows for about 2 hours at the Performance Works. Tickets are on sale now. It's $25, and it supports obviously all the activity that's going on at the Fringe. And Kirst is going to try to herd these cats in a really great way for all of us, because it's short tech time. Basically, show up and do it. So that's happening.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Kirst is going to be part of a panel. We're doing a sort of an activation site called Lot 55, which I think I talked about. and every day we're going to do something slightly different. So the very first day we're going to talk about health and wellness. It's going to be at 1, 2, 3 at Lot 55, and it's a free event, but you have to register. And Kirsten is going to be one of the panelists, as well as Chase Paget, who's another great fringe artist who's doing Lucky Break, and also Don Parman from ActSafe BC is going to be there to talk about kind of all aspects of health and wellness, and to actually have an interactive conversation with artists and audience who show up to just talk about, how do we keep ourselves going, and what are the things that make us feel well and safe, and also, how individuals like Kirst have had really hard things going on, and how do you work yourself through that in terms of art? What does art do for human beings in general, and also specifically? So that's part of what's going on, and we really appreciate that you're going to show up for that, Kirst.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to say, just to promote your show or talk about where you are right now, or, because I think it's always lovely to hear the amazing things that are going on in other people's minds other than mine. So
I really do think, I really hope that people will come out to the show, and I hope they're not afraid of the C word, and that they realize what C word it is. Although it's a cheeky title.
Yes.
That's fun. But I know that cancer is not always like the most fun topic, but I hope that people will come out knowing that that I'm treating it in a little bit of a different way than they might have seen it treated before. Some of that comes from, years ago we had Scott Thompson, the comedian from Kids in the Hall, come out to host one of our burlesque shows, and he said to me, he'd always been terrified of stand-up before he had cancer, and he beat the cancer, and then he would look out at the audience, because he was a sketch comedian but not a stand-up comic. He'd look out at the audience and he'd say, "You can't hurt me. You're not a tumor." So that's the attitude that I approach this whole show with. It's this is anything that's not a tumor can't hurt you, and we can find the humor in it. And he did a lot of comedy about his cancer experience, and I took a lot of strength from that as well. So, you'll have a lot of fun at my show, and you will leave laughing and singing.
Beautiful. And also, maybe there's a T-shirt in that. I'm just going to say that as a merchandise idea. Just
all right.
saying. I'll give it to you just for free. I gave that to you for free.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for engaging with me today, especially as you're driving in the car up to your new gig. And thank you for doing it last minute. I'm so looking forward to seeing your show, and I know I'll see you next week at Fringe for All.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye. We are so excited that she came and did that. I mean, even in the car, that's what you were hearing. You were hearing the wind in the car, just FYI. So it was authentic in the car. Thanks, everyone. We're going to be back on September 8th at noon. And we are going to be talking to another Fringe artist. And I don't know who that is right now because everybody's jumbled up, but it's going to be somebody exciting. And then we're going to just continue gaily forward through the entire festival. Every day there'll be another one. Please look at VancouverFringe.com. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, send them to me. I'm always happy to hear from you. And really enjoy yourself, keep well, and we'll see you at the festival. Bye.